And the CQC, and therefore its predecessors, is probably held in the same regard by the medical profession as Ofsted by the teaching profession, isn't it? They hate it.
Indeed.
And actually there was a report sent out by the General Osteopathic Council only a few days ago saying that 35% of the osteopathic profession associate the word fear with the General Council. Yeah. So, you had an experience on the other end of the regulator. What do you do to try and mitigate that?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a natural sort of reaction, which is why I emphasise the visceral experience that I had. And I think we spend a lot of our time thinking about how we can be approachable, how we can be customer facing. We don't always get that right.
Who's your customer?
The public.
Exactly. That of course is often lost on practitioners.
Indeed. And what I say on that, and I've said it quite a lot this year in relation to some work we've been doing around thinking about our new standards, is that we don't work in the chiropractor's interests, but we try not to work against it.
Right.
We've been established by Parliament. So going back to your point about the fear or the hatred of regulatory bodies, it's Parliament who's established us by statute. And our job is to regulate proportionately, sensitively, taking into account the views of all the stakeholders, and to try and do that in a humane and effective way, and to try and establish a tone that is approachable and enables people to see that you have a job to do. And of course, if you end up in the bit that is not very pleasant, it isn't very pleasant. Yeah. And whilst there are some things we can do in that regard in terms of providing support.
The bit that isn't very pleasant, by that you're referring to the fitness to practice process, which can ultimately lead to the Professional Conduct Committee and effectively a court hearing. Yeah.
And what I'd say on that is, again, it's one of the bits in the Act which is very clear about the process that needs to be followed. At the GCC, there are now approaching 4,000 registrants. It's increasing every year, which is good to see, and there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of interactions and patient experiences every year. Yeah. Many thousands every day, and I think we fairly consistently receive about 70 complaints a year, which the GCC is bound to investigate.